to be angry if you want to be angry. You're allowed to have a frowning face if you want to frown, because life is hard. But just know that even though you go through difficulties and challenges, you still deserve to smile. You still deserve happiness in your life. You still deserve joy in your life. So just program your mindset to know that there is something beyond these days. There's something beyond the misery. There's something beyond the suffering. There's something beyond the persecution. And just once you program your mind to know that there's something beyond that, then you will now take actionable steps to realize what more can you do beyond this? What more can you do in order to get yourself to where you want to be? Because as much as also... Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Isioma Onanye, and my channel is all about all things personal development, women empowerment, mental health, life and culture in Nigeria. So for today's episode, I want to talk about how to be resilient, how to really what is the meaning of being resilient in life, and how do you go through a process where you're going through a lot of difficulties and challenges and you're finding it hard to really get yourself to push past the difficulty, to push past the challenge. And I'll be talking about why resilience matters. So first of all, what is resilience? The way I define resilience is is that it means for you to really push through difficulties and challenges and find your way out in spite of the climate that you find yourself in spite of the suffering you find yourself in. For you to be able to push past it, I believe that is the meaning of resilience. And I feel as though in different stages of my life, and even right now, I feel that you have to be resilient. You have to be resilient when you go through failures. You have to be resilient when you go through difficulties. And I've definitely had my fair share of difficulties in life. I've always said that one of the biggest disappointments I faced was knowing that I didn't initially have the life I wanted to have from New York. You know, I had to come back because I didn't really get enough time to have as much experiences as I would have liked to have when I came back to Nigeria. And even here in Nigeria, it's not exactly the ideal life that I had envisioned for myself. And even through difficulties in jobs, I've been fired once, I've been through different job situations that I didn't like, but yet I still decide to show up to what I can, currently employed. So I feel as though I've also had to develop the spirit of resilience in my life. And so that's why I believe that I can give you a few tips on how to be resilient. Number one, let's be resilient. You have to focus on the mindset. As cheesy as it sounds, I know that there's one quote, I believe it was a Maya Angelou quote, I need to get the right quote, that says that if you're not defeated, if they haven't defeated you in your mindset, something like that. I'm not sure the exact words of the quote, but basically it's that if you don't have a defeated mindset, then you're not defeated. And what this means basically is that you have to really program your mind to sort of push forward, because if you allow your mind to be defeated, then that's it. You will not find the courage, you will not find the audacity to keep moving forward in your life. So you have to not have a defeated mindset. And when it comes to not having a defeated mindset, it's not as easy as going through failures and difficulties and being like, okay, you know what, I'm good, I'm gonna keep going, positive mindset, positive spirits, just back up and running. It's not as easy as that. Sometimes when we go through difficulties and failures, you have to go through a period of mourning, you have to go through a period of weeping, you have to go through some days where it feels like, okay, life is crap, life is not worth it, because that's the process. Life isn't so easy and sweet that when you go through something, you have this positive mindset and get back up. No, sometimes it hurts. Sometimes failures, difficulties, embarrassment is painful. And what it means is that you have to go through the process of that pain. And sometimes that means just sitting down and wallowing in your feelings, sitting down and wallowing in your emotions. Yes, just let yourself be. Sometimes you might not feel as though you want to do anything. Sometimes you might not feel as though you have to start creating the strategy on how to move forward in your life. And that's okay. Just go through the process, because sometimes you have to go through the process of what that pain feels like. But the most important thing is that you don't allow yourself to sit and fester in the pain. You don't allow yourself to sit and fester in the difficulty. And I think that that's what resilience is. Resilience isn't just immediately bouncing back from challenges and difficulties. Resilience means that you know that you have to go through pain and difficulty, but you don't allow yourself to remain there. You still program your mind to say that, okay, this is the hardship I'm going through. This is what is going on with my life. And yes, it hurts. And yes, it's difficult. And yes, it's painful. But there's still a light at the end of the tunnel. There is still something outside this pain. There is still more to life to experience than the sadness. Resilience is knowing that there is something past the pain, there is something past the suffering, there is something past the difficulty. And I believe, as usual, that's where faith comes in, because sometimes our situation, our environment might not look encouraging, but if you have the faith to know that the same God that brought you to this world has the ability and the capacity to take you to better days, to take you to a brighter situation, to take you to a happier story. That is where you have the mindset to now develop and know that, okay, there's something past this. And once you tell yourself in your mind that, okay, there are better days after this, that even though your situation is not favorable, there is something past this, that mindset is what is going to get you to be up and running. Because even me, when I went through difficulties and failures initially with my job situation and even being let go, I know it was such a disappointing period for me, because it was the first time in my life that happened, and it was painful and I felt bad. But even as I experienced the pain and frustration of what employment meant, I still knew that, okay, just because I have failed, just because I've been let go, that is not the end of life. It happens to everybody, and I could still get another job. I can still get something else. And that's what enabled me to continue to put myself out there. It's what enabled me to continue to work on my CV, apply for other jobs. And I got another job after being let go. I've got many other jobs after that, and I'm currently employed. So just having that mindset to tell myself that, okay, just because I failed, I shouldn't give up on the workforce. Just because I failed, I shouldn't give up on still trying to find things that I'm passionate about and I'm motivated about and things that I want to work towards. I have to tell myself that just because I experienced failure doesn't mean that there isn't more to this. So that's what you have to do also. You don't allow yourself to sit in the pain and difficulty. No, I'm not saying that your pain and difficulty is not valid. It is valid, but still you have to know that you have to give yourself a period of mourning. You have to give yourself a period of soaking. And after you've soaked, after you've mourned, you know that, okay, we need to push past this. We need to see what we can do to see what else is beside the pain, what else is after the misery. And that is one thing that you need to focus on when it comes to being resilient. Having that mindset to know that even if you've been defeated in a situation, that does not mean that it's the end of the life. It's the end of your life. That does not mean that you are completely defeated. Now, my second tip on how to really develop that spirit and mindset of resilience is to know that you can't do it all alone, to be honest, because when we are going through difficulties and challenges, I would love to tell you that you just have to push forward, do everything by yourself, but in this life, no man, no woman is an island, and we all need some sort of support from other people. And so when you are going through difficulties and challenges, don't be afraid to lean on others. Lean on family. I always say family because they are my biggest form of support system. So I feel as though leaning on family matters. If you're not close to family, lean on your friends. If your friendships are like family to you. If you don't feel as though you have close friends to reside in, that's when I believe that we should always seek some sort of like emotional support and community. Because when you are going through difficulties and challenges, sometimes on your own, you don't have the strength to carry on. Sometimes you might not even have the tools to carry on, which is why I always advocate for therapy, which is why I always advocate for emotional support, because sometimes you don't even know how to get out of your pain. You don't even know how to get out of your misery. You don't even know what to do, which is the way forward. And that is why sometimes having professional support, having the advice of a therapist to really sit down, listen to you, and help you to walk through your thoughts and emotions matters, because they will actually help you to know and provide you with the resources and just provide you with the insights on how to look past your pain, how to really get to the roots of what is disturbing you, to get to the roots of your problems, and how to work it out, how to walk yourself out of that difficulty. So yes, another tip for you to get through resilience is to know that you can't do it alone. As much as I believe in faith and prayer, which is great, sometimes you need something in addition to faith and prayer. Sometimes you need the support of your family and your friends. Sometimes you need the support of a mental health professional to really listen to you and guide you. And sometimes you also just need the support of faith, definitely, to know that even though things are not great right now, there is something beyond the pain, there is something beyond the misery, and then there's something beyond the sadness. So I think that those are the two biggest tips for how to really get through a difficult time, how to really develop the spirit of resilience. Is number one, to have a mindset to know that even though things are bad, that there's still some light outside of the tunnel, that there's still something beyond the difficulty and challenge. So to program your mindset to know that there's something better. Number two is to have support. Have the support of family, have the support of friends, have emotional support. Put yourself in a community where people will accept you, where people will acknowledge you, and where people will be willing to give you that emotional support. It really matters, because if you don't have family, if you don't have friendships, if you don't have the means to afford a mental health community or mental health services, if you are not able to afford that, you need some sort of community to really help you, to check up on you, and to sometimes encourage and motivate you. So I really recommend that you also try to put yourself in some form of community. If you don't have family, if you don't have emotional support, have some sort of community. And at the end of the day, I should also emphasize again, faith comes in. I believe that faith is one of the biggest factors in resilience. As I say, I feel as though you cannot, when you are going through a difficulty and challenging time, sometimes you cannot only depend on human beings. Even though sometimes some human beings can encourage you, there are some human beings who would love to kick you down while you're in your pain. So that's why you cannot just depend on human beings. You have to depend on God, because God is the overseer of everything. Some human beings will condemn you. Some human beings will persecute you. Some human beings will want to spit on your face when you are crying. But there is God that sees everything that's going on. There is God that is judging our lives. There is God that we are going to meet at the end times. When it is time for us to be taken away from earth and into heaven, it is not human beings that are going to tell you whether you get to go to heaven, but it is God that is going to decide. So at the end of the day, I believe that you have to hold your faith close to your heart, and you have to believe that if you love God, if you are a good Christian, if you practice what is being preached in the Bible, if you know that you are living your life in a way that is pleasing to God, then just pray to Him. Then tell Him the desires of your heart. Tell Him to help you in your direction. Tell Him to help you in your purpose. And I believe that having that faith in life is what encourages you to know that, okay, in spite of my pain, in spite of my suffering, in spite of the rejection that you are going through in society, condemnation, whatever difficulty, in spite of being an outcast, there is God. There is God seeing everything. There is God looking down on you. And there is God that's saying that greater works will you do. There is God that's saying that He's going to bring joy into your life. There's God that's saying that there's better days after this. So having that faith, not in man, not in woman, but in God, because God is greater than human beings. Having that faith is also what is going to give you that spirit of resilience to keep pushing forward. So those are just my few tips on how to really develop that spirit of resilience in life. Because yeah, I know sometimes I sound like this motivational speaker, but the truth is that you need practical tips. As much as it's good to be positive, we have to be realistic in knowing that, as much as we want to be positive, life is difficult. And no, every day you're not going to be walking around smiling. Nobody walks around smiling all the time. Life is hard, and sometimes, you're going to want to sit in your room and cry it out. You're going to want to be angry some days. You're going to want to be frustrated some days. And that is okay, because you are human. You are allowed to cry if you want to cry. You are allowed to be angry if you want to be angry. You're allowed to have a frowning face if you want to frown, because life is hard. But just know that Even though you go through difficulties and challenges, you still deserve to smile. You still deserve happiness in your life. You still deserve joy in your life. So just program your mindset to know that there is something beyond these days. There is something beyond the misery. There is something beyond the suffering. There is something beyond the persecution. And just once you program your mind to know that there's something beyond that, then you will now take actionable steps to realize what more can you do beyond this? What more can you do in order to get yourself to where you want to be? Because as much as also what you need to do in order to have that spirit of resilience is to be able to take action, is to be able to know what can you do in order to keep moving forward. And like I said, when I went through job difficulties, one of the actionable steps I took was number one, I continued to still look for other forms of employment. I continued to see how I could volunteer through things and organizations around. I continued to see how I could develop my skills and update my CV. So what you need to do, no matter what your difficulty and challenge is, after you program yourself to have the right mindset, see what it is that you can do in order to take those actionable steps forward, and that is where resilience comes in. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if you definitely have some tips on having resilience, how to push forward in life, definitely let me know your comments in the section below. I'm grateful to you. And also, if you like this video, definitely give me a like, give me a thumbs up, and yeah, I look forward to seeing you on my next video. Take care. Bye.